Hello, thank you for listening. This is the near death experience of Anke, and this experience occurred in September of 2009 and was documented on April 24th, 2017. Open quote. It was in September 2009 when I arrived at home from a jogging run. I was completely frozen because it was so cold outside. I was in the process of starting a fire in our fireplace when my baggy jogging pants caught fire. With a slight trace of irritation for my inattention, I tried to extinguish the flames with my hands, but this wasn't successful. The extra air seemed to make the fire climb, growing ever stronger and faster as it moved upwards. Soon, not only were my pants ablaze, but also my jacket. When I look back at that moment, I'm always fascinated anew because I didn't feel any fear at the time. It simply happened, and somehow I was only a silent observer of what was just happening to and on me. I constantly tried to extinguish the flames with my hands. I didn't scream and didn't call for help. The whole event seemed somehow surreal to me, almost like it was remotely controlled. I still vividly remember the moment when I realized that I couldn't control the fire anymore. The fire devoured the synthetic clothing as the flames reached my face. Then my long hair caught on fire, and I couldn't breathe. A wow effect started, which changed everything. I suddenly understood that this is it. I said to myself, give up. Now you are going to die. Since breathing was impossible and any chance calling for help was gone, I had no more control over my life. I couldn't do anything else. The most impressive thing at this moment was that I didn't feel any pain or fear. This moment consisted only of an all-inclusive realization that now I was dying and the conclusion of, it's okay. From today's view, this exact moment was the biggest gift of my life. I gave up and stopped fighting. I made one of my most important decisions: let go, accept. Now, 8 years after this experience, it's extremely difficult for me to find adequate words for those feelings and insights. It's something which couldn't even remotely be described or some way explained with human words. It's an instant that comprises everything, all caps, and at the same time, nothing, all caps. There was complete inner silence and an attitude of wait and see what would happen now. At the same time, it's the most wonderful awareness of the absolute, all caps. My life was not passing in a kind of slow motion in front of me like many people describe who have had an NDE. It was more like an inner realization that filled me that my past life was exactly right and good the way it was. This realization was without melancholy and worry. There was nothing there that would be completed, no commitment at all. It was simply a point. I seemed to have totally escaped from the feeling of time. All those deep impressions opened up to me in a very restrained time frame, like what you would need for 3 to 4 breaths. At the same time, it felt like an all-encompassing, amazing eternity. I could write pages about everything that was going on during this moment. Still, it was only a moment in which I certainly had to deliver myself completely, all caps, and above all, consciously, all caps, to my higher entity. I had absolutely no choice, all caps, anymore. I gave up every human control and let go. What followed was a calm, yet almost curious wait and see for what would be coming now. I now perceived my earthly body from a kind of watcher's perspective with a feeling of neutrality. I was watching the body as it slowly started to stagger with its arms helplessly fluttering around. It couldn't hold this state for very long, but it was very clear to me. My neutral watching of what was happening with my body changed abruptly into joy when my son was suddenly standing in the door. He, age 14 at the time, in a flash realized the dangerous situation. He reacted with great presence of mind by running towards my body and pulling it to the floor. He was able to extinguish the flames with a nearby carpet. I still seemed somehow being away from the event and was following his efforts to help me quite neutrally, as if I was only an uninvolved bystander. I watched him as he ran to the telephone. I watched the arrival of the emergency doctors as well as the landing of the rescue helicopter. My consciousness had separated from my body, and I seemed to be next to it. I was watching like an observer or a bystander, but nothing was leading my awareness away. There were no deceased loved ones that were welcoming me, no bright light that I could perceive, no dark tunnel or other changes or anything like that. Instead, I could watch the nice female emergency doctor in the helicopter and saw how she cared for my body that was lying relaxed on a kind of stretcher with wheels. Bustle came up only when my body was rolled on the gurney by the paramedics into the hospital. The doctors hurried along and brought it into the emergency room. Bottles and tubes were on its belly, and yet it seemed that it was okay. It seemed to me as if it were sleeping deeply and relaxed. The whole commotion that I saw was puzzling me. I heard the paramedics talking to the doctors, saw what they were doing with my body, and that they took it to the surgery room. Nobody seemed to take any notice of me, and this was confusing me. Nobody, all caps, on this human plane could perceive me. Not my son, nor the emergency doctor in the helicopter, much less the hectic doctors at the hospital. Nobody would answer my questions. Whatever I tried to communicate, nobody seemed to see or hear me. This was really the only thing that bothered me the whole time. Am I dead? My body was just lying there. Now, for the first time since the admittance to the hospital, I had the possibility to look at it calmly. Meantime, they had transferred it into a calm, intensive care room. Apart from the blip of some machines, it was calm around us. It seemed well cared for. The machines had many devices that watched the body's functions, and countless tubes provided the body with everything it needed. It was indeed a strange picture for me, as it was lying there and the body's chest was heaving through a ventilator. Its hands and head were covered with bandages where only a small opening could be seen where the tubes came out that belonged to those devices. It was just lying there like a lifeless shell, without content, and it seemed to wait peacefully in its own way. I, however, was sitting at the foot of the bed, and countless thoughts came up. For God's sake, what does this mean? I am here. I feel very alive. Why am I not feeling what it feels? And above all, when I'm dead now, why am I still here? Why am I not detaching myself of it? What am I still waiting for? After I almost was getting used to this strange, disconnected state, I suddenly heard a warm, soft voice behind me. Somebody seemed to enter the room. With his appearance, the energy in a slightly darkened room was abruptly changing. "You aren't dead, Anke," I heard. When I turned around, I was looking into the loving eyes of a tall male and glowing figure of light. He seemed to fill the whole room with his presence. "Have no fear, my dear. You will get answers for all your questions. At the moment, there is nothing of importance for you here. Therefore, I would like to show you a few things if you like." And so the most adventurous journey of my life began. This figure of light was leading me away from my body. I was shown what all caps consciousness slash conscious existence is and of what it consists. I was taught and trained and asked 1,000 questions while getting 10,000 answers. I became aware of coherence that I never before I would never remotely would have guessed. My patient teacher was leading me into all realms being important for me. I learned how our human body is connected to higher planes of vibration, what it means to integrate the soul parts to free blockages, and how soulmates are connected. He taught me what it really meant to extend my consciousness and how our human self is connected with this and uncountable other things. I was given the occasion to, all caps, experience everything. When we visited the room in which my body was in a coma, my teacher instructed me about what it meant to really accept the physical body for what it is, all caps, a vessel enabling us to have our experiences in duality as a human, a vessel that wants to be inhabited by our higher consciousness and which is longing for connection. On one of those visits at the hospital room, my spiritual teacher asked me to tune into my physical body. He wanted me to feel inside, to get into clear contact with it. I felt its constriction, all caps, heaviness, all caps, and its limitations. But I also was aware of its creativity, as it was constantly renewing. It had inconceivable possibilities, and its very own way of communicating with me. I was allowed to explore it and let it, for the first time, tell me its stories. Upon this extraordinary experience followed the most important question I ever asked in my life. Now you are allowed to make a decision, all caps. It's your choice, all caps. Do you want to return into this slash your body, or do you want to tell it goodbye here and now? From today's view, I don't believe that there was ever the question to die and to leave these planes, but rather about the unbelievable insights, the realization of, all caps, decision, all caps, connectedness, all caps, effect, and the, all caps, truth. I was allowed to consciously say yes to myself, to my being human, and to return to my body. I was allowed to consciously melt back with it, connecting again. I was flowing into its cells while feeling its boundaries and its density. I was a gigantic feeling. I perceived it exactly as it was, even though it was less than perfect at the moment. I accepted it, and everything in the body was filling me with the purest gratitude. Gratitude that it was still available for me, that I could stay here. Gratitude for this indescribable schooling, and also gratitude towards myself for my courage and strength. Above all was gratitude for my unwavering trust. Since this experience, everything is different. I am different. I changed my focus in life. I am not searching anymore, only finding. I feel no pressure, no must and ought to, but instead an unconditional yes to myself and my world, and to the wonderful way I am allowed to experience it. This indescribable experience changed everything, all caps, end quote, and wow. Wow. What an amazing experience, Anke. And the descriptions that you provided were unreal. Some of these concepts that we've heard before, I think you described, at least to me, that better understanding. I go back and it's the one. It says it's an instant that comprises everything and at the same time nothing. I've heard that something like that before, and it's always very confusing to me. But she goes on. There was complete inner silence and an attitude of wait and see what would happen now. That may be the nothing. At the same time, it's the most wonderful awareness of the absolute, which would be everything, nothing and everything. But the nothing may be inside, and the awareness of everything. I think that's kind of how I read that. And then talking about the body as a vessel. Wow, what an experience that was. And guess what? There's some questions. So there's even more. Let's see what we've got here. All right. Question: at the time of your experience, was there an associated life-threatening event? Answer: yes. Accident with the fire. I was burning and didn't get any air to breathe. That was, yeah. Question: did you feel separated from your body? Answer: yes. I could hear what doctors said, what my parents or the male nurse in the hospital room said to me. I clearly left my body and existed outside of it. Question: comparing your consciousness. Answer: everything happened at the same time without limit. I knew everything and was everywhere, all at the same time. Excuse me. Question: comparing your vision. Answer: during the experience, I was completely alert and open. My comprehension was nearly 100%. In normal life, we are only aware of about 0.5% of all this. Question: comparing your hearing. Answer: my hearing was not the most important thing, but I could see, all caps. I saw structures, planes, our energy fields, other souls, planets, and much, much more. Wow. Question: did you see an unearthly light? Answer: yes. It's difficult to describe. Maybe it is similar to milk being poured into a glass of water while somebody is holding a very bright light behind the glass. Question: what emotions did you feel during the experience? Answer: absolute love, freedom, and calm. It felt embedded and connected. I felt embedded and connected with everything in a way like, I don't know, as a human being. Question: did you suddenly seem to understand everything? Answer: I grasped the sense of our life, the conception of relations, why disease happens, or why people make their life miserable. I had access to all insights that I wanted to obtain. Question: did scenes from the past come back to you? Answer: I was shown my whole life like in a kind of movie, and I could dive into each situation, stop it, and experience it again. Question: did scenes from the future come to you? Answer: scenes from my personal future. I could see that there are different possibilities of future, that we always have the choice for which one we decide ourselves. Question: did you reach a boundary or limiting physical structure? Answer: uncertain. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. There was something in between. Question: did you come to a border or point of no return? Answer: I came to a definite conscious decision to return to life. I was asked the question if I wanted to go back to my body. I learned what it really meant to inhabit the body and to really live. I said yes, all caps, with joy. Question: what importance did you place on your religious/spiritual life prior to your experience? Answer: greatly important to me. Question: what was your religion prior to your experience? Answer: other or several faiths. No particular religious orientation. I believed in cause and effect and in a field of creation. I was aware that everything in life had its sense. Question: have your religious practices changed since your experience? Answer: yes. I dealt with hypnosis in order to help people to be able to go themselves into these realms. I was dealing more with subconscious, with the ego and its bubbles in order to dissolve them. Question: what is your religion now? Answer: Do not know. No particular religion. Today I know that everything is connected, and every religion is too narrow for me. We are so much more than what we could be put in a frame by a religion. Question. Did your experience include features consistent with your earthly belief? Answer. Content. Features consistent with your earthly belief. Answer. Content that was entirely consistent with the beliefs I had at the time. I got proof of everything that I already had been believing before. Now I know for sure, and much, much more. Question. Did you have a change in your values and beliefs because of your experience? Answer. Yes. I think that it is very important to tell people about these experiences and to show them what life really means. I'm in the love and still can live this as a human being too. I'm in the love and still can live this as a human being too. Question. Did you seem to encounter a mystical being or presence or hear an unidentifiable voice? Answer. A very tall and bright figure of light, a rather male energy who was available for me as a teacher. He showed me everything that was important for me and my further life. It was also him asking me the question if I wanted to go back into my body. Question. During your experience, did you gain information about pre-mortal existence? Answer. Yes. I was shown an infinite quantity of scenes from my own life. I could dive into them and let myself being totally taken up in them, but I had the impression that this wasn't about past lives, but that they all happened at the same time. Question. During your experience, did you gain information about universal connection or oneness? Answer. Yes, we are all one. I could immerse everywhere while seeing and feeling the connection with myself. Every thought I had effects on everything. Question. Do you believe in the existence of God after your experience? Answer. God definitely exists. Question. During your experience, did you gain special knowledge or information about your purpose? Yes. My NDE wasn't happening fortuitously. It was guided and served my realization why we are born here as humans, why we are having our experiences, and how we can free ourselves from them. Question. During your experience, did you gain information about the meaning of life? Answer. Yes. We are all creating our own fears and keep them alive. We are surrounded by an energetic bubble, making us believe that we would be separated from the all-encompassing creation. It's only because of these bubbles that we can't feel this connectedness. All fears, pain, anger, and sorrow are only existing within these bubbles. Question. Do you believe in an afterlife after your experience? Answer. An afterlife definitely exists. Yes, I was shown how our physical body will turn to dust while we will find ourselves in a wonderful state of detachment and connectedness. I also could experience how we choose a new body and a new family to be born again. Question. Did you gain information about how to live our lives? Answer. Yes. For us as humans, it's only important to extend our perspective. The only point is to see through the illusions inside these bubbles and to experience the reality behind them. Nothing else matters. Question. During your experience, did you gain information about life's difficulties, challenges, and hardships? Answer. Yes. We are all creating our own fears and keep them alive. We are surrounded by energetic bubbles, making us believe that we would be separated from the all-encompassing creation. It's only because of these bubbles that we can't feel this connectedness. All fear, pain, anger, and sorrow are only existing within these bubbles. Question. During your experience, did you gain information about love? Answer. Yes. Outside of these bubbles, everything is unconditional, all quotes. There is a love, or all caps, sorry about that. There is a love without wanting, all caps, without a purpose, all caps, and without evaluation, all caps. I could never feel a deeper love. Question: what life changes occurred in your life after your experience? Answer: large changes in my life. I'm not searching anymore. I'm in the here and now, and I'm grateful for everything. Fear was completely annihilated. I feel this bond, and I love myself much more than before. Question: have your relationships changed specifically because of your experience? Answer: yes. I detached from people that were not good for me. Question: was the experience difficult to express in words? Answer: yes. There are almost no human words for this, unfortunately. Question: how accurately do you remember the experience? Answer: I remember it more accurately than other events around the same time. Many other experiences have faded completely, but I know these experiences in every detail. Question: do you have any psychic, non ordinary, or other special gifts after your experience that you did not have before the experience? Answer: yes. I became clairvoyant, and many of the problems I had before suddenly disappeared. Question: are there one or several parts of the experience that are especially meaningful or significant to you? Answer: all caps. But my words are only words. It's important for me that people can have this experience themselves. They need these experiences in order to dissolve their ego bubbles and find out by themselves what I'm telling here. Question: have you ever shared this experience with others? Answer: yes. I've been writing about this on my homepage and have been leading clients through hypnosis into these realms. Excuse me. Did you have any knowledge of near-death experiences prior to your experience? Answer: yes. And through hypnosis, I immersed already in many former lives. Question: what did you believe about the reality of your experience shortly after it happened? Answer: experience was definitely real. I can still remember exactly every word, every feeling, and every realization. In the weeks and months after, everything got a much greater sense for me. My body was healing much faster and more comprehensive, as the doctors would have expected. Question: what do you believe about the reality of your experience now? Experience was definitely real. I can still remember exactly every word, every feeling, and every realization. In the following years, everything got a much greater sense for me. It's still, for me, the all caps most important experience of my life and the greatest gift. End quote. And wow, thank you, Anke. What a great story to tell us. And also, I'm going to link Anke's website on here as well. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you have a great day.